I always go to thrift stores to see what I can find. Nothing seems to be new. I'm just gonna make my rounds around the racks. There was nothing eye-catching. I just had this gut feeling just to stop by and check it out. It wasn't until I was walking by the wall to see something that caught my attention. Someone donated these Michael Air Jordan red toes, and they're listed for $16. I only had $4.99 in my account, just enough to buy a 20-piece chicken McNuggets. I still wanted to try my luck and buy these. You know what is good? The $35 overdraft fee is worth it for these shoes. The original Air Jordan 1's are being listed on eBay for as high as $20,000. Imagine paying 5 figures for leather and rubber. That's kind of wild, but I ended up getting the shoes, which is nice. Alright, let's take them home and clean them up. I'm noticing a lot of scuffs around the red part of the leather. Also some cracking around the ankle collar, which is perfectly normal. I mean, for a pair that's at least 3 decades old. The rubber soles don't have any more grip and they're very brittle. So I'm just gonna do a sole swap on them, but I'm not really gonna touch the uppers. I don't want to lose the vintage patina. I am going to touch up the red leather on the toe box. I'm gonna take out all the accessories, which is the laces and the insoles first, because the very first thing I want to do is to remove the old rubber midsole. I'm using this lint shaver to remove any sock bunnies from the insole and liner. Before I can remove the rubber sole, I have to remove the stitching around the sole first. It's actually taking a little too long, so I'm going to use an X-Acto knife to cut the threads and pull the thread from the inside out. It doesn't matter if I score the rubber by doing this method because I'm going to replace it anyways with a new midsole. This kind of rubber has been dried out for a long time, so the only way to remove it is to break it into pieces. This by far has been the most difficult sole swap job I've ever done, because I'm so used to the soles coming out and all in one piece, especially if the soles are made from all rubber. The glue that they used on all 85s is god tier, because it's been 30 plus years and it's still holding strong. Okay, I'm gonna see if using an X-Acto knife would be a little bit easier. I got most of the rubber off, so I'm gonna use a Dremel tool to just remove any excess that's still stuck on the leather. Bits and pieces of leather and rubber are flying everywhere, so I'm gonna add some eye protection and a mask for you. This is a very long and lengthy process just to remove the old rubber. It's crazy. It's crucial to remove the layer of leather that's going to be bonding with the new rubber sole, because this will help you make sure that the reglue will be rock solid. You need to see that white layer of leather underneath. And this is only pertaining to this shoe from 1985. The way leather was processed back then is different from the way they're making them now. So all that work, and I still have to do the other shoe to remove the rubber soles. This one was a little bit easier, but it was still giving me a lot of trouble. This is the donor that I'm using. It's like a Team Jordan. It still uses parts from a Jordan 1. So what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting the threads with an X-Acto knife from the inside. There's a million other ways to do this step, but this is just my preferred method. These donors are pretty old, so I can get away with removing the donors with just boiling water. If they were any more recent, I would have to use acetone to eat up the glue. I'm also gonna dye these midsoles with coffee just to give them a vintage look. But before I do that, I want to make sure that these soles are squeaky clean. I'm gonna remove any dirt, scuff marks on the sidewalls and the bottom part of the rubber. Using melamine foam or Mr. Clay Magic Eraser helps me so much when it comes to just cleaning up the rubber. If you have a pair of all white Air Force Ones or some Dunks, you could definitely use this method too. Just a quick clean, it'll do the job, but don't add any dish soap to it if you're putting it on leather. Here's a quick before and after, nothing too crazy, but it does make a difference. I'm using a steamer with a wire brush to help me really clean the bottom part of the shoes. Using clean your shoes isn't going to damage the rubber. That's only if you use a rotary tool, because that is like spinning at like a million miles an hour. So it will dig into the rubber if you use a rotary tool, like a Dremel. Alright guys, now it's time to dye the soles with coffee. There was someone on Instagram that said that they use instant coffee to dye the midsoles. And then I'm like, that's genius, because then I don't have to worry about the beans and disposing of it. I could just flush it all down the sink. I'm 80% sure that that was Mercury MFG that replied to someone on the comments. So thank you Mercury for that amazing tip. He's also one of the few people I know that makes the best handmade 1985 Jordan 1 customs. It's him and Maxio and a few other people that I can't think of right now that make the best handmade 85 Jordan 1 customs. I made the coffee into a gelatin form, so if it looks like a week old Jollibee gravy, then you've got the right consistency. A few spots didn't turn and get dyed with the coffee, so I'm just going to apply a little bit on top just so I could change the color. At first I didn't know how long to put the gel form because it looked pretty concentrated. I didn't want it to be darker than the rest, so at first I did 15 minutes, then 30 minutes, and all the way up to an hour. It's starting to look a little bit better, but I do wish that it was all one uniform color. So I'm using a Dremel tool to remove the factory glue that's still left on the rubber. And then I'm gonna hit it with acetone and cotton balls to wipe it out. I don't want any dust and debris left on the soles because that will affect our reglue. I'm going to give the leather a little bit of a cleaning. I want to make sure that these shoes are nice and clean.
And when I see the foam, I'm in my zone.
Since I'm using this electrical brush to clean the shoes, I'm not going to put it on the black part of the ankle collar since that's very, very delicate, nor the tongue. I am going to be using a soft hand brush to clean the tongue. It's about that time to start gluing the uppers to the midsole, so I'm going to start prepping the midsole with acetone and cotton balls just to make sure that our surfaces are free from oils and dirt. I'm going to apply a thin layer of Barge Cement Super Stick on the whole sole and a thin layer of glue on the toe box. I have to wait for the glue to set, so I'm waiting about 8 to 9 minutes to let the glue cure. Then I'm going to reactivate the glue with heat and then carefully bond them together. Once it's bonded, I let the shoes sit for a few hours without touching them. Then I check back to see if I need to touch up any separations that I see. There's always going to be some touch-ups that you'll need to do, but you know, that's just the way it is. It's rare to have a perfect reglue on a spot if you're working on vintage shoes. I'm going to work on the heel next, then I'm going to finish off with the sides. I'm going to be implementing the same steps that I did to do the toe box with the rest of the shoes. You don't want the leather and rubber to bond while the glue is still too hot because it won't bond properly. If it's too hot to the touch, it's too hot to bond together. I want to tackle the scuff marks that are on the toe box area. And I'm using a Q-tip to paint the leather to make sure that the leather is soaking up all of the paint. For the edges, I will be using a paintbrush. I didn't want to fix all of the scuff since the leather is still pretty worn down. I wanted it to be just a little bit more presentable. I'm going to use OxyClean powder to whiten the insoles. I'm about to give them a good mix and leave them out in the sun so they could whiten up. Thanks to Curated Dan, I was able to replicate the insole logo for the Chicagos that I'm fixing up. You can follow him on Instagram. Getting the correct size for the insole logo could be tricky, so what I did was size up the photo to match the insole that I had in hand. Then I went on Photoshop to trace out the logo, hopped on Cricut to print out the stencils, and I used heat transfer vinyl for this. Because it is vinyl and not silk screen, they will last forever. They're not going to rub off if you wear them multiple times. Here's how they were before, a little brownish with a yellow tint. Almost matches my wooden table. And here's how they look after I whiten them with the new insole logo. I'm also going to replace the existing lasting board with the new one. I pretty much destroyed them while I was removing the rubber soles, and this piece is just being held up by tape. The last step is really to stitch the rubber soles back to the upper using my sewing awl. If you guys need laces, go to Lit Laces, the link will be down in the description below. will be an affiliate link, so anything you buy will help me out, and you get 15% off, so it's a win-win. And that's it for this video. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys enjoy these types of restoration videos, please give me a follow. And every like I get helps me out so much, so I appreciate you guys for rocking with me.